First delivery there from Karen worked down to the third man position of the back of Captain Melius, and the Wooded Islands immediately off the mark. They're one without loss, and this is the first over.
Yes, and Pratis, and along with Kamal Eri and Saka Dakal, that's the lineup for Nepal, with just one delivery so far, and Melius guiding that down to third man, and its score is off and running.
So Stefan Pascal to take strike as Karan at the top of his mark, and certainly removing this beautiful piece of sunshine that we have here this afternoon. And I must reach out to our friends in Nepal. We've made quite a lot of friends in Nepal. Certainly a pleasure to have you viewing this live broadcast today, and let's do hope that we got a very interesting game. One down the leg side has to be wide, I thought. Well,
seems to be brushing the tight pad on its way.
But a good take there by Wiki Ibasi. Diving away to his left and gloving it, ensuring that there was no additional run to the total of the Wooded Island Volcanoes. They're one without loss. And certainly will be looking for victory here today.
Certainly, I think they would want to come back and come out with a victory, having been defeated in the first two practice games.
This one works into that short third man position. Now being picked up, and Stefan Pascal is off the mark. He's on one. Second run being scored here for the Volcanoes. And going back to the last game, after being 70 out without loss, they lost their way after Melius would have, after losing, was it Pogis?
Pogis, that was the first wicket to go.
Right, and certainly the winners lost their way.
Yes, and very soon after we had Melius departing for a well-paid half-century.
And it is. This time to Melius, the captain. This one is just tucked into the onside. Blair comes off the middle fence. There was a possible second there, but Melius would have none of it, sending Pascal back into his crease. And the third single of the Wooded Islands innings. They're now three without loss.
I think that was good judgment on the part of Melius, sending him back, because that would have been suicidal. Return was a good one.
A very good return indeed. As Nepal team, they've certainly doing a lot of work in the back of the field, a lot of catching. One of the areas that they certainly need to improve on, and the captain spoke about, is the ground fielding. This one is right up in the block hole, and Pascal is on top of it. Just pushes it back up along the pitch, showing some respect there to Karan.
Well, so far a pretty good over indeed. 5 deliveries, 3 runs on the card. I'm sure that Winwells would want to end this with a boundary, but Karan will have different ideas. That he has really been on the button, so to speak, so far in this over.
Well, over the last 2 games, especially the last one, last Thursday, the openers for the Winwells have been quite watchful early on.
And then start pushing it on, so we'll wait to see.
What is their approach? It is the third and final practice game as Karan into Pascal. Just tries, but this one in more into the pitch itself and bounce into the path of Karan, picked it up quite nicely, and that's the end of the first over, 3 without loss.
Very good over indeed on the part of Karan and Nepal, so starting very well. First over, just 3 singles. Melius is on 2, Pascal on 1, and definitely that's what they would want to continue.
Without a doubt. So the Nepal team, when they are finished with this, they're going to be traveling to Houston, Texas. By the way, I understand that there was some significant rainfall. As a matter of fact, the superstorm was in Texas just a couple of days ago. Let's do hope that it has no impact on the infrastructure there, as the Nepal team will make their way up to Texas, Houston, to continue with their preparation for Cricket World Cup 2024. That's the T20 World Cup being played in the USA and here in the Caribbean, here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're preparing to host 5 games, and I don't know if you noticed that, but all polls are up, and this morning I noticed that one of the towers already had their lights in.
Well, that's a very good sign, because yesterday there were no lights whatsoever.
To this delivery, Melius up and over, and that's gonna one bounce into the fence. And that's the first boundary of the innings for the Wooded Islands.
Well, Practice was short and wide, giving Melius the room that he wants, and he deliberately played it over third man, one bounce across the ropes. And so pressure very early on Practice, and he would want to tighten things up, but once he's loose, Melius would be attacking him. He's that kind of a player.
Well, you certainly can't give Melius that kind of room outside the off stump. He'll certainly make you pay. And such was the case in that last delivery. This one is well pitched up and rocked him on the pad, but that certainly was along the leg side. No run resulting, and it's still 7 without loss.
So I would say a good comeback delivery on the part of Practice. And Melius is wrapped on the pad, but angling down the leg. And really no damage done. Half-hearted appeal.
Stephen Pascal is at non-strikers, and as Pascal gets forced back here. That's Melius forced back. A loud appeal as he was wrapped on the pad, but umpire was not interested. And well, Practice certainly created some early problems here.
Well, that one cut back from outside the off, and he was really in no man's land. Lack of foot movement there on the part of Melius, and I think he was saved by an inside edge.
So, as you said, a good comeback there by Practice, being struck for boundary in his first delivery of this, the second over. But his last two certainly creating some problems for the Wooded Islands captain, Kamani Melius, in that upright stance. This one, he drives, pass cover, that's going to find the boundary. Glorious shot, that's 4.
Well, he gave himself some room and really opened up the offside and beating the short extra cover, who just looked at it. He had a dive, a despairing dive, and then looked at it, just go across the ropes for 4. So the second boundary in the over for Melius, and the total now goes on to 11.
Well, one of the things, of course, in this game is that you ought to be looking to hit the right spots. The moment you go, off, you certainly got to pay for it, and that is what happened to Practice. So, moves in once again to bowl to Melius, and Melius drives outside the off stump, misses it completely.
Well,
so too does the wicket keeper.
I'm looking, and it's buys.
It is. Yes, he missed it. So that's
So
4
to
buys.
the keeper.
So Asif, of course, up to the stumps, there to the fast medium of Practice, and not being able to take that one. So,
Well, we saw in the previous game, Anil tend to come up to the stump for Practice, and had one good stumping, I think, in the first game.
Melius is wrapped in the pad yet again. Loud appeal there from the bowler, but the umpire not interested. They take one in the interim, and one more to the total is 16 for no loss. That's a leg bye.
So at the end of over number 2, 15 without loss. I think what we note there, 16 without loss, going at 8 runs and over. But the Practice getting that ball to come back into the right hander, and I think that's creating a bit of a problem for Melius very early in the innings.
Without a doubt, and uncomfortable there for Melius. There we see Stefan Pascal on screen. He's going to take strike, and there's going to be a change in bowling.
Yes, Karan has been pulled out of the attack. It looks like Airy. Kamal Singh Airy looks like.
Okay, the second of 2 Airy in the side.
Yes, and
for Nepal.
Dipentra Airy, he got injured this morning, so he was pulled out. He was lined up to play, pulled out, and Sample came in.
So Kamal bowls to Melius. Melius down the track, hoists this one high, and it might just very well get to hand. It doesn't, but good work in the end to avoid that boundary, and 2 in the process. And there you see, of course, a bit of frustration coming there from Melius. He was certainly kept in check there by Practice the previous over, and without even having a look at Kamal, went down the wicket and skied that one.
Well, really, a bit of a premeditated shot there, and really no need for it. It's still very early days yet, and but luckily for him, he got away with it, and he lives to fight another day.
Melius is on 12. This one is bowled. neck and crop. Knew absolutely nothing about that one. And certainly that's Nepal striking early, taking the first wicket.
Well, I think if you looked at area a while ago, he's showing that that one was leaving the right-hander. Here we see it on screen. Very good delivery indeed. Melius tentative. That in fact that
Between
came
the
back,
gap, yeah.
go right between bat and pad, and losing the middle stump in the process.
Beautiful
And,
delivery.
He has to make his way back for 12. It's now 18 for 1 in over number 3.
So, Melius had a good knock in the first game, 50 odd in the second, but this time around only contributing 12.
And so we see Kavem Hodge, who had a pretty dismal time in the second game. He comes out to do battle.
Hodge, of course, has experience at the international level, would have traveled with the West Indies team to Australia. And certainly Dominican, who has excelled at the national level in Dominica, and certainly at
The Windward's level as well. I think he has already had 2 half centuries under his belt at the test level. So he knows what it is to be at the top. And the Windwards will depend on him to put a good total on the tins.
So Kamal Airy to continue. This the third over to Kavem Hodge. Hodge works that nicely into the offside. A fielder comes off that mid off position, and there's just one more. And
There's no run.
There's no run.
Yeah, so
Well,
it was well played, but
for a moment I thought it was a single.
it's shadowed there by the short extra cover, but tidied up by mid-off. So he kept things down to 0. So Airy looks rather exuberant, looks alive, and with that early success, so surely would have been buoyed by that early success. And you can see that he's really running in with purpose in those steps.
Outside the off
Beautifully
flat
played.
square the wicket by Kavem Hodge. That's a classy force, Charlo.
Yes, that ball was wide and he just square drove it, and the fielders just looked at it as it raced across the backward position and into defense for 4. The total goes on to 22, and what a way to get off the mark.
Yeah, that's a top class shot there off the bat of Kavem Hodge. Outside the off stump, and he rocked back and cracked it square the wicket, and it raced across the outfield here at Park Hill, and the Woodland Islands are now 22 for the loss of 1. So Kamal Airy, fairly good first over, troubled the Woodland Islands captain Melius, and plucked his middle stump out of the ground. But Kavem Hodge, certainly with different ideas, he's just about the top of that 30-yard circle, break into a couple steps now and races in, passes umpire Butler, and Hodge drives aerially, but this one finds the fielder there mid-on, and in the interim, 1 run added.
Definitely, so it goes on to 23, and Hodge with that, he goes on to 5. Pascal, who has barely been a spectator in the last few deliveries, he comes in to strike, he's on 1, and certainly would want to put a decent total to finish this practice game with a good score under his belt.
Airy, yet again, as we've lost the sunshine a bit, but that's not a bother. And this one is driven into that cover position. Captain Rohit Padel is there to pick it up. That's the end of over number 3. At the end of it, just under 8 runs per over, 7.8 or thereabouts. The Woodland Islands are 23 for 1.
Yeah, so I think Airy would feel very happy with his over. He picked up the wicket of Melius in his over, and just giving away 7 runs. So pretty tidy over indeed. A successful one as well. At this level, you're going at under 8 runs and over. You can count yourself as doing well.
Without a doubt. And there's yet another bowling change at the northern end. We see Gulshan.
Kaishan coming into the attack.
Right, replacing Prentice. So Captain Padel trying not to make these batters too comfortable.
It's ringing the changes. It's the 4th over and it's the 4th bowler.
Exactly. So Gulshan. Let's see. Just a bit of a warm-up. And one or two little changes being made in the field. But Gulshan is now ready. And this time we bowl to Stefan Pascal. Batted at number 3 today for the Volcanoes. In the previous game he batted at number 4. And a young man who certainly can do a lot with the ball as far as bowling is concerned. But here's Gulshan. And Pascal is pulling at one outside the off stump. He's looking to probably pull that somewhere over the mid-wicket area. Didn't get any bat onto the ball, and the total remains at 23 for the loss of 1. Saw the umpire just indicating that's the 1 shot for the over. That's Gulshan. Very tall and a Nepal team that is more or less on the short side, quite a number of short players, but Gulshan is towering over many out there in the middle to Pascal. Pascal hits this one high and hard. This is gonna go into the long arm fence.
Hodge sporting number 22 on the back of his shirt.
So 6 runs.
Just lofted it over long on. The total goes on to 29, so Hodge means business. He hustles on to 11. Pascal still on 1. And Gulshan would be well advised not to come into that slot, because it was in the slot and Hodge making full use of it.
He will make you pay. So there's Gulshan. And Hodge swats that one. Same position, same result. And it's now 35 for 1.
Well, he advanced down the track. Gulshan saw him, banged it in short, and he stood up and just swatted it over wide long on for another 6. So back-to-back 6s here, and the total hustles on to 35. And Hodge goes on to 17.
So Gulshan being taken to the cleaners. 2 consecutive 6s off the bat of Cam Hodge. And now we see the player be moved from mid on right back on that long on fence. But Hodge has been clearing them a good distance.
It looks like the Captain Padel who has positioned himself on the long on boundary.
Gulshan. Yet again to Cam Hodge. Hodge leaps this one. I believe he got something onto the ball. No run as it was taken by the wicketkeeper on the first bounce.
Yeah, he looked to tickle that down to fine leg. Didn't get much bat onto it. And just a faint edge, and it went on the bounce to the keeper. So no run. In fact, Captain Padel finds himself at mid-off.
Having a word there with Gulshan. The ball is the 4th delivery of the 4th over. 35 for the loss of 1. The Winner Island Volcanoes batting first. And well run there by both batters. Dropped at his feet there by Hodge, and Pascal responding well.
Yeah, good call by Pascal. And Hodge, not certain where it went initially, but Pascal called him through, and in the end got a very easy single. One that was really just at the feet of Hodge, getting that inside edge into his pads.
So 36 for 1 as Gulshan, making sure that he has good control of that white ball, and that was short. He got on top of it and worked it nicely into that proper position there. Off for a quick single, and it's now 37 for the loss of 1 after 4.
After 4, so he moves on to 2. He has been there from the inception. Cavem Hodge, he's on 18, really going at a canter. So 37 for 1, just over 9 runs and over. And really quickly, we have turning around. Let's see, will there be a change in bowling?
There is.
I see Karan.
He brought back into the attack.
Seems to be brought back. So bowler's been given a spell.
Well, keeping them as fresh as possible by Captain Padel. Thus far, they've been all quicks. We haven't seen any spin from the Nepal team. Of course, Irie, who does a bit of spin, got injured during the warm-up, and certainly I wasn't part of the starting 11. But here's Karan. The ball to Pascal. Pascal drives. Lovely shots. Bisecting the cover and the mid-off, and that's 4 well-taken runs.
Beautifully played. He stood up tall. He's a lanky player. He stood up tall, drove it on the up between the extra cover and mid-off, and it raced away. You really get value for your shots here at Park Hill, and it raced away for 4 as the total hustles on to 41.
So Pascal immediately making a statement in this, the 5th over, as Karan turns down the top of his mark, and will move into ball to the young Grenadian, and pulls it into that mid-wicket position. They are looking for a second, but it was certainly not there. And there's Pascal trying to certainly mount the pressure, so to speak.
Trying to put the pressure on Karan, had a few steps down the track and worked it out to mid-wicket and got a single. So he goes on to 6, and Hodge and now comes into strike, taking guard from umpire Butler.
Butler, former St. Vincent Willow Islands and West Indies, left arm quick, and certainly doing duties these days as an umpire. Hodge down the wicket, and this might very well be out. Asif is settling under it, and he's out caught. He knew it immediately, and that's wicket number 2. They're into the gloves of wicketkeeper Asif, and I should say a poor shot from
Definitely, it was premeditated, really totally uncalled for. He down the track. I think Karan saw him moving very early, banged it in short. He went through with the shot, got a top edge, and easy catch for the keeper. It skied. He just didn't have to go anywhere, just waited on it and gloved it nicely. The Windwards now finds themselves at 42 for 2.
All right, 42 for the loss of 2. It would be nice to see that replay, as there we see Pratish and wicketkeeper. They're having a bit of a beverage, as we've lost a bit more of the sunshine, as you get that aerial view here of the beautiful Park Hill playing field. And there you go, yes. Wild swing at it, getting that top edge, and immediately walked away because he knew what he had done, and into the gloves of the wicketkeeper. Wicket number 2 going down there for the Volcanoes.
Yes, and it looks like Jeremy Salazano makes his way out to do battle. A left-hander. 42 for 2 after 4.3 overs.
So this delivery, Alonso is tucking it nicely down to deeps, backward square leg, and nice return coming in there. So he's off the mark. Jeremy Alonso, Trinidadian.
Salazano, yes, Trinidadian. So he's off the mark on 2. The total now on to 44.
Of course, the Volcanoes being a regional franchise, and Salazano, who at one time certainly had a call-up for the West Indies. He's on strike. He's on to his Karan. This delivery is outside the off stump, and it's, well, signal has
one shot over the shoulder.
right.
And Salazar just watches it go by outside the off stump. I think he was anticipating a wide call by umpire Butler, but Butler would have none of it. He's in the perfect position, so to make the judgment call. And as we see that aerial view of Park Hill here, with the Paul Best Center in the background.
Karan. The ball to Salazano once again, and this one he drives. And don't think that was the intended error, but Captain Padel is there. They got a single in the process.
Inside edge.
It's now 45 for the loss. Was it 44?
45 at the end of over number 5. So still going at 9 runs and over. And certainly the Windwards having a pretty good start. And let's see. Now Kamal Airy is going to pick it up from the northern end. So he's been switched around.
So Airy, hold of duty to get rid of the Winter Islands captain in Cameron Melius. One that cut back between bat and pad and plucked the middle stump out of the ground with Ellis contributing 12. Total now is 45 for the loss of 2. And Airy this time from the northern end for the first time here today at the Park Hill playing field to batter who.
And he's out caught behind.
Yes.
Beautiful delivery.
Yes.
And he was fishing at it again. The lack of foot movement on the part of Salazano. He fished at it, taken the outside edge. Good catch there by wicketkeeper Anil. And Winward's into further trouble at 45 for 3.
Well, Airy indeed keeping things airy for this Nepal team. And the Winter Island Volcanoes in this the 6th over, early in the 6th over, they're 45 for the loss of 3. Going at a fairly good click. But if they continue to lose wickets as rapid as they are at this point in time, certainly will find themselves pretty much short of the required runs here. The pass score here at the Park Hill playing field, I should say 180 plus, you should be fairly comfortable. But the Winter Islands, as they are doing at this point in time, will certainly look to be doing much better.
Oh, definitely. And you see Dylan Douglas makes his way out to do battle. I think he has been promoted in the order. I think the previous games he batted somewhere around number 7. But he's now coming in at number 5. And Airy having success immediately. So he has picked up 2 scalps so far and putting the Windward Island Volcanoes under some pressure. 45 for 3. 5.1 overs.
Did we see him in the last 2 games?
No, he did not play in the first 2 games.
Yes.
So he has now gotten the opportunity and grabbed it with both hands so far.
Making a very good impression here. Airy, this time to Douglas, and Douglas nudges this down to third man. Fielder is off the fence and limits the batsman to 1. Douglas immediately off the mark, 46 for the loss of 3 in this the 6th over.
So Douglas just waited on it, opened the face of the bat, ran it down to third man who is on the boundary. He got a single, so he's off the mark. And Airy makes his way back. He turns just around that 30-yard circle, so a pretty long run-up.
Pascal gets one that he, well, for a moment I thought he got a bit of a bat onto it. Such was not the case. And he lives to fight another day. The total remains on 46 for the loss of 3. Here, as we've lost even a bit more of the sunshine. So, last 4 to 5 weeks in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there was hardly any rain, but yesterday we had a significant amount of rainfall. I was fearful that this game might have been impacted, but such is not the case as Airy comes in out the bowl. This delivery hits this one high, hard over that,
straight over extra cover. And it went sailing for 6. Out of the ground, it was pitched up. And it was deliberately lifted over the extra cover fielder and clearing the ropes for 6. And the total goes on to 52.
So the 50 is on the board for the Northern Islands. And a good shot there from Stefan Pascal, showing his worth as a batter as he leans there on his bat in conversation with Dylan Douglas. And saying to the Nepal team, well, we've lost the 3 early wickets, but with me here and the support from Dylan Douglas, certainly there is going to be some resistance from the Winter Islands.
Certainly, one would want to see that. At least you want to see that partnership. And Pascal there saying to Airy, yes, I recognize you've been bowling well, but once you give me that chance, I'm going to take it to you.
Pascal this time is on the back foot and works it nicely into that. Work there from, it looks like Captain Fadell looking to break them, but not successful in doing so. One more added to the total. It's 53 for the last 3.
So good running, good cricket all around. And you see Captain being very involved indeed, always in that a key position. And it was Bortel who was really closing in from that short mid-wicket position, but good judgment on the part of Pascal. And he got punts from Dylan Douglas as well.
Douglas now on strike. And this delivery, he pulls nicely over at, more in a corner position, and that's 6 more runs to the Winter Islands.
Well, once you pitch that short to Dylan Douglas, he's going to take it to you. And there it was short, and he was in position and swung it over wide mid-wicket for 6. And over number 6 comes to an end. So a pretty productive over there for Windward Islands. I think some 11 runs coming in that over. It's 56 for 3.
56 with a loss of 3, and they're maintaining that 9 runs per over, just about 9.3 runs per over after 6. So they're going at a pretty good canter, the Wooded Island Volcanoes. Of course, that statistic to the right that says 3 certainly will be a bit of a bother. But if these two are to remain there for the next 5 to 10 overs, certainly can
do some damage.
Certainly.
And it appears as if it's going to be Saga Daka, who is going to pick it up. So we're going to see spin for the very first time in over number 7 from the southern end. So he'll be bowling around the wicket to the right-handed Pascal, who is on 14.
So this delivery is forward and works it nicely into that vacant mid-wicket position, and they take 2 in the process. A bit of a scrappy work, but cleaned up there by the captain.
I think good running, a good sensible cricket on the part of Pascal. He played it with soft hands into mid-wicket, and he took off, and the fielder had to come off the boundary, and they came back for the second, which they got very comfortably. The total now on to 58 for 3.
So there is Daka, and that delivery again worked into the onside. They're looking for a second. This time the fielder is much more quicker to it. Gets a good, nice, neat return into the gloves there of the wicketkeeper, and it's now 59 for the loss of 3.
So good cricket on the part of Pascal, not looking to bludgeon the bowling, but just working it into the onside and picking up the 1s and the 2s, waiting for the bad deliveries, and then he looked to clear the boundary.
So yeah, bird in the distance, flapping its wings, not on screen, but it's indeed a lovely view here. This one is still a bit of it. That's Douglas, just pushes it into the offside, finds Captain Rohit Padel, and the total remains on 59 for the loss of 3.
The sun has disappeared, so rather cool conditions, but no threat of rain.
This delivery played on the outside, it could be run out there, and Daka missed the opportunity, because certainly Dylan Douglas was short of his
Well,
crease.
I think he had given up, but Daka missing the stumps, and in the end he just sauntered in.
Well, he's having a bit of a laugh about it, but certainly was an opportunity for the Nepal team to pick up their 4th wicket, and now we see there's a mid-pitch conference taking place, touching of the gloves. There, Pascal and Douglas just reassuring each other that we need to be a bit more assertive in this running. And the play continues now. Dakal to Pascal, outside the Austin, and he tries lovely down to long off. Feelers off the fence. That is Karan. And 1 in the process. Total now to
64 for 3. I think there's just 1 delivery to come. So a pretty tidy over so far.
Yes.
On the part of Daka.
Daka. This time goes to Dylan Douglas, and Douglas caught in 2 minds there. I think that one came back at him.
It was pitched, it jumped, and it was spinning away from him, the left arm going across the right hander. And in the end, he just dropped it to where silly mid off would have been at the end of a pretty good over on the part of Daka. I'd say 64 for 3 at the end of over number 7. So still going at 9 runs and over.
Still at 9 runs per over. 9.2 runs per over. The Wooded Islands. And Gulshan will continue from the southern end. Yes. So into this, the 8th over here, and Stefan Pascal settles over his bat. Gulshan moves past the umpire, and this one he tickles it down to that short fine leg position. Finds the field in Karan. One more added, and it's now 65 for 3 to Wooded Islands batting first in this final practice game for the Nepal team. Of course, they will be playing 2 games in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Should be taken on Netherlands and South Africa. South Africa itself is going to be a challenge for them. Also the Netherlands.
Yes, I think they are going to come up against a much stronger opposition, and it's really going to ask for a lot from Nepal.
Douglas forced back and works it nicely to that short mid-wicket position. Gulshan comes around to the fielding, and one more off the bat of Dylan Douglas. He's now up to 8, 66 with a loss of 3.
So wind was still going along, and they would look for a good partnership from these two, having lost 3 wickets rather quickly.
So there's Gulshan, and as you may see on our screens, it's a little dark, but of course good enough lighting for play to continue, as there are some clouds in the distance. But Gulshan with different intent. This one is pushed down to long on. The fielder comes in, gets the ball quickly back into the glove there of the wicketkeeper, and one more to the Wooded Islands. They're now 67 for 3.
So far, a pretty tidy over by Gulshan, keeping things tight. It's just not giving the batters the room to free their arms. Dylan Douglas comes back into strike, and Gulshan will recall that he was short in the previous over and was dispatched over mid-wicket.
Let's see what happens to this one. Worked nicely down to third man.
Beautifully played.
Well taken there by Dylan Douglas. Past the wicketkeeper, past the fielder in that third man position, and that's 4 well taken runs.
Again, giving him the width, and he opened the face of the bat and really hit that between the third man and backward point, and it raced away for 4. So a welcome boundary by the Windward Islands. It's total now on to 71.
Gulshan. Being struck by Bong in the previous delivery. This one is lifted high, hard. It's going to go into the shrub above the ground there. That's 6 well taken runs.
The total goes on to 77. So again, it was pitched up, and Douglas was equal to the task, lifting it over long on. The fielders on the boundary just stood up, looked up, and said, well, there it goes. And he cleared the boundary with consummate ease. It's now 77 for 3. Douglas on 19, Pascal on 20.
So 10 runs in 2 deliveries. Gulshan coming in for a bit of a stick from this the northern end, and Douglas waits, delivers outside the off stump and worked into that
where are you going, son?
Position, and well, really and truly wasn't a single there.
Well, he was struck firmly straight to the backward point fielder, and both batters took off and then stood in mid-pitch, and they just waited. But Pascal was able to regain his ground, as Douglas was really gone for all the money, but the return was not on Douglas's end, because I think he had given up, but the return went to the keeper's end. The bowler's end, I would say, and Pascal got back easily into his crease.
So that's the end of over number 8. At the end of it is 77 for the loss of 3, and going at just over 9.6 runs per over. And he's bowled, played all over that one, and that's Pascal losing his wicket. That's the 4th one.
Yes, so 77 for 4. What Pascal did, it was tossed right up in the Yorker length delivery. He played across the line of the delivery rather than playing with a straight bat. He went across the line, missed it. His off stump knocked back, and Windward Island Volcanoes losing their 4th wicket, now 77. 77 for 4, as we see Darren Ned making his way out in the middle.
So, Ned,
And a little cameo on Thursday.
Yes, youngster with some ability.
So Saka having some success with the very first ball of the 9th over, and it's beginning taking out Pascal. So 77 for 4. Windward Islands in over number 9, and so Dakar would now bowl to Ned. Ned looks around the field. Ned is driving, beats the extra cover, and Captain Rohit Patel is as if sweeping around the cover boundary, picked up, fires it in, not taken cleanly by Dakar, and a single. The total goes on to 78, and Ned, he's on 1. It's Douglas who is on 19, comes in to strike. So 1 to Ned, 19 to Douglas. Douglas works it out to mid-wicket, and they drop through easily for a single. Total now on to 79. 79 for 4, and we are in over number 9. So 20 now to Douglas, and 1 to Ned, who comes back into strike. And there was Ned reaching forward and just working it very softly to on the onside of the pitch, and Dakar skips around and picks up Ned down there. A bit of gardening under cool conditions, and he's right forward to that, pushing it back to Dakar. So Dakar keeping things tight, having had some success.
Certainly, and Captain Rohit Patel would love for this to continue for extended period.
And he's driving out to extra cover. There is Captain Patel covering ground to his right, and just a single. I think there's 2 runs coming in that over, so a very good over on the part of Dakar, and an over in which he also had the wicket of Pascal.
Well, a very, very, very decent over there from Dakar, and tightening the screws on the Wooded Island Volcanoes there. 79 for 4, very importantly, picking up a wicket in that over. And without a doubt, it's now a situation where the winner certainly will have to consolidate. But at the same time, Nepal not taking their foot off the gas, so to speak, and certainly pressing on.
Well, looking to keep the pressure on. So we see a change in bowling at the northern end. And in fact, it's going to be Practice who will come back into the attack, and he'll be bowling to Dylan Douglas.
Well, Practice certainly had some early stick, especially from the bat of Melius, but this time bowling to Dylan Douglas, and pulled into that mid-wicket position. Fielders off the fence. Return that has Sanil jumping a bit, but was always going to take it, and it's now 80 for the loss of 4 in this, the 10th over.
So 80. Douglas goes on to 21. Practice with bowl to Ned. I think there's a light drizzle, but
very, very light drizzle.
Not anything for play to be halted in any way. You see Ned just marking his guard, taking his time, not to be hurried in any way.
Delivery that is sort of pitch a bit and just forces it to the onside, and 1 more resulting 81 now for the loss of 4.
So it's rotation of the strike, but so far Practice 2 deliveries have been on target, just 2 runs. Douglas comes back into strike. He does some gardening.
He's on 21, Dylan Douglas. And this one nudges it nicely down to that fine third man position.
A real deft touch.
Yes, it was.
You know, it just opened the face and just nudged it between the keeper and third man and raced away for 4. The total now 1 to 85. Practice again finds himself on the receiving end.
Yes. And Dylan Douglas showing his class there. As you said, nice deft touch off the bat. Practice turns to the top of his mark. A delivery again, this time finding the point fielder. Or should I say that's more of a backward point. And no run resulting. The total remains on 85 for 4.
Well, some 2 deliveries remaining in the over. Dylan Douglas on 25. Darren Ned, he's on 2. 85 for 4. We are in over number 10.
Practice just
decided to go wrong the wicket.
Yes. Douglas drives long to long on and finds the fielder. 1 run resulting. Slaps his bat in the process. I was thinking he should have gone over the fence with that one.
Well, didn't get through, got a single. Total goes on to 86.
Here comes Practice this time to Ned. Ned is just pushing this one into that cover position. Captain Padel is there picking it up. That's the end of the 10th over. And at the end of it, the Woodland Islands batting first here at Parker in this T20 practice game. They're 86 with a loss of 4 halfway through the innings.
Yeah, so going at 8.6 runs and over, if my math serves me right.
Bang on.
So I think there are 10 overs remaining. Douglas, if he can stay there for at least another 5 overs, should be able to put the Windwards with a pretty decent total. But really, I think Nepal have pulled things back a bit. They were going at 9 runs and over. They are now under 9 runs and over. And the changes continue to be wronged by the...
That's Padel.
That's Padel.
Yes, the Nepalese captain. And, well, of course, halfway, as I said, through this innings here for the Woodland Islands Volcanoes, the 86 for the loss of 4, another 10 to go. And maybe if they can get it up to 9 or 10 runs per over in the last 10 and minimize the number of wickets they would lose, certainly a score of 180, 185 thereabouts.
They have something to fight with. So Bertil comes into the attack, sporting number 14 on the back of his shirt.
And Bertil, he's had a good series, of course, with both bat and ball. This time coming in and delivery that is worked down to long on, and one more. Now 87 for the loss of 4. So that's Douglas moving on to 27 as the young Darren Ned was making sure that his card is correctly marked. And here comes Bertel. Ned pushes into the onside, and Bertel goes around fielding to his own bowling. 1 more added to the total, 88 for the loss of 4 wickets.
So they're just about knocking it around and waiting for that loose delivery to Ponce. But good, sensible cricket on the part of Windwards, because they have lost a few wickets, and it's really in a rebuilding process.
So here's Bertel. Delivery. And the batsman appeared to be in 2 minds there, Douglas.
I think he got the googly. That one came back into him. He was opening up to hit it on the offside. It came back into him, and he had to adjust and got it down to a long on position and got a single.
So they now will continue as Bertel comes in once again. This time to Ned. He's down the wicket and he's stumped.
Wild swing by Ned, and keeper Anil making no mistake. And you can see the disappointment on the face of Dylan Douglas. Really totally uncalled for. You have lost 4 wickets. You're in a real building process. No need for that wild swing. He was looking to use his feet. Didn't get to the pitch. He was beating all ends up. An easy stump in there for Anil. And the total now 89 for 5.
So 89 for the loss of 5. Darren Ned certainly just giving it up there. And there you have a look at the main pavilion at the Park Hill playing field. Again, a nice, lovely playing field nestled in the northeastern side of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. New batsman coming to the crease, I believe, is Descartes.
Yes, this is Descartes.
89 for 5. This the 11th over. And a bit more pressure here on this Winnan Island Volcanoes team. A regional franchise that will produce the likes of Sonny Lambris, who's injured. Of course, the likes of Johnson Charles, who's playing for the West Indies T20 squad. Spiceman, Fletcher, our very own Obed McCoy, they're all part of this outfit, but of course, all assigned to West Indies duties. This delivery is outside the off stump, and Descartes just rocks back, and maybe should have done a little better than there, but in the process, some scrappy fielding, gets one in the process, and now 89 for the loss of 5.
Score goes on to 90.
Yeah, that's the 90th run.
So he's off the mark immediately, not timing it well, but getting a single in the process. And Douglas, who is on 28, comes back into strike.
So, just mention a few members of the squad. The likes of Obed McCoy, he wasn't selected in the final 15, neither did the Spiceman, but they're still being kept in the West Indies camp. This delivery outside the off stump and played into that point position off a very quick single. No, he was sent back as a matter of fact.
He was sent back, and luckily for him, the return came in very quickly indeed. So a pretty good over by Anil, by Bortel. And at the end of over number 11, it's 90 for 5 at the Park Hill playing field under very cool conditions here. With Dylan Douglas, he's on 28. With him is Shadrach Descartes, who is on 1. And really, Nepal would be satisfied so far with their work.
Well, it's 11 overs gone, and the Winnan Islands, they were maintaining a run rate of 9 per over. But of course, with the loss of those 5 wickets, being pegged back a bit, and it's somewhere in the region of just over 8 runs per over. As
see, look at Dhaka being switched to the northern end.
There you have a nice aerial view of this very lush outfield here at Park Hill, and Shadrach Descartes settles over his batters. Saga Dhaka bowls, and this delivery tucks it off the legs into that square leg position. Fielders off the deep square leg boundary, picking it up, and one more added to the total.
So he goes on to 2, and much appreciative crowd here at the Park Hill playing field. And it's really customary, once there's cricket at Park Hill, you do get that appreciative crowd who would always be here taking in what is going on.
Douglas pulls and pulls. Well, that's gone. That's 6. And that's probably the 10th ball that we've lost in that over the last 3 days.
Well, it really rebounded. It came back because it landed on the lower part of the hillside. It was short of a length, and Douglas was very quick on the back foot and just swung it over long on. And he goes on to 34. The Windwards really would want him to stay there, with the total now on to 97 for 5.
This delivery drives down to long on. And they'll only get 1. They're looking for a second, but feel along they will have none of it. Getting the return quickly back into the gloves there of Anil. For a moment I thought it was Asif who was behind the stumps for the Nepal team, but it's actually Anil doing the glove work today. Would not have seen him in the last 2 games, and getting an opportunity in this, the final game. This time, Descartes works into the onside. looking for the second, but it's not there. Quick work again by the Nepal team. They certainly improve on the outfielding.
Well, they have, and what would I say that what you have seen, they are pretty quick over ground.
So here comes Saga Dakar. Anil issuing some instruction, but Dakar comes in now. And this delivery is just worked back on the onside there by Dylan Douglas.
It was faster and flatter. Windward's 99 for 5.
This is the final ball of the 12th over. And Douglas wrapped on the pad. Is a loud appeal there by Dakar, but the umpire will have none of it. Not interested. That's the end of it. It's 99 for the loss of 5 after 12.
So 12 overs, 99 for 5. So 8 overs remaining. One would want to think that Windwards would love to see Dylan Douglas and Descarte really taking it right down to the wire for them. And because both these batters can really hit the ball a pretty long way. And if they stay there for at least 4 or 5 overs, I'm sure we are going to see some boundaries.
Well, Dylan Douglas, of course, certainly has been the aggressor. And maybe it's important that Descarte, who certainly has the ability to power it also, can play more of a holding role. Quite naturally, if you get the bad delivery, you will give it the treatment that it so deserves. But for the sake of the Windward Islands having lost 5 wickets, they won't want to have both batters pushing it too much, so to speak.
Well, we wait to see. It's going to be Bortel to continue.
This time he'll come into bowl to Descarte, and Descarte swings at this one. Didn't get any bat onto the ball.
I think he was deceived by the bounce.
He was, because he's chuckling at it. You can see that wide grin on his face as he goes down to have a chat with Dylan Douglas. Douglas telling him, well, chap, you just need to keep your eyes on it. That one certainly had you a bit bamboozled. So there's Bertel tossing the ball from hand to hand. And will now move past umpire. The ball to Descarte. Descarte looking again for that wild swing. Got a bit of a pad onto it. And that's one more one. Well, signal a wide at
wide, so 2 runs to the total.
I really truly thought he got a bit onto it, but such was not the case. So the 100 is up for the Windward Islands. They're now
101
for the loss of 5. 101 for the loss of 5. As Bertel now comes in this time to Dylan Douglas, and Douglas tucks it around. Just quickly off for the first one, looking for that second, but he'll have none of it. And it's now 102 for the loss of 5. So Bertel keeping things quiet here.
Well, so far he has kept things pretty tight, and Nepal would be happy with it.
Descarte pulls this one nicely. That's 6. And that is what he was aiming to do for the entire over, and finally getting the bat on the ball.
The third attempt at that shot, and in the end, he made good connection, sailed over the backward square for 6. Total goes on to 108, and he would need a couple more of that to push the Windward's total to somewhere in the, if you're looking at 170, 180.
It's 108 for 5, and this is the 13th over. So Descarte showing that he can muscle it, and did so over the backward square as Bertel comes in, and this time he's pushing out at that one into the offside. Wheeler comes around picking up in that cover position, and one more now to 109 for the loss of 5.
So Descarte was just content to push it into the offside. Swung the previous delivery for 6. It was not there for that shot, so he was content to just drop it on the offside and pick up the single and bring Dylan Douglas back into strike.
There comes Bertel once again. Delivery that is pulled down to long on, and one more resulting
into over 110 for 5 here at Park Hill, and Douglas. In fact, I thought the over was completed, but we see Butler having a word and still a delivery.
So there you had a look at the square here at the Parkhill playing field, the two pitches, and both would have been used over the last 3 matches. As Portel comes in again to bowl to Descartes. Descartes with that attempt, one bounce to deep backward square leg, and one more to the total. It's now 111 for the loss of 5.
Well, Lord Nelson, he's on 11, 111 for 5 at the end of over number 13. Douglas on 37, but Descartes would keep strike, so 7 overs remaining. And these two would meet mid-pitch to have a conversation. You can see that smile on the face. I'm saying you didn't time that one well, but in the end he's still there. But Douglas signaling to the pavilion
For the helmet,
before the helmet, so one anticipate that we are going to see the medium pacers coming back. It looks like Karan.
Yes, Karan it is.
Sporting number 33 on the back of his shirt. And so Captain Padel continued to ring the changes.
So there's Douglas with a bit of a grin on his face. Maybe he likes the faster stuff. Possibly saying, well, this is my turn to certainly put a bit more on the tins for the Volcanoes. $111 for 5 in this, the 14th.
There's still some heavy clouds around, really just hovering around the Parkhill playing field, but so far we continue to have play. Just hope that we do not have any downpour.
Descartes is forcing this one into the offside. It could only find Rohit Padel in the way. And the Nepalese captain was having a little bit of fun with it.
And you can see Descartes just rehearsing the shot, saying I should have hit that a bit squarer and finding the gap. But he stood tall and just punched it out to extra cover where Captain Padel picks up rather easily.
So here's a stockily built Karan. Bustles in now to bowl to Descartes, and well,
not timing it, it was short, bottom edge, and it bounced back to the bowler. So 2 deliveries, 2 dots, and Karan would feel very happy about that. Descartes would be disappointed in himself, saying I should have put those away.
So here comes Karan outside the off stump, but that's wide. It was high, it was wide, and absolutely no chance for Descartes to get a bat onto it.
Signal by umpire Bayam. He was jumping, looking to slash that over third man, but it went above him, and the total now on to 112. But earlier there was a breeze blowing across the ground, but that has subsided.
It has.
And
it's a little bit more humid. We have the cloud cover, and just a gentle breeze, not the kind of flowing breeze that we've had early on. But here's Karan. Descartes misplaces it, and well, misfielded there. Just when we were talking about the good work, the outfield by the Nepalese team, Bertel letting that one through.
Yes, well, I think their ground fielding has not been up to standard. They have covered grounds, they are getting there, but not holding on to the balls, and in the end sometimes giving away that single. And that was a perfect example there from Bertel, where he got there, didn't hold on, bubbled behind him, and the batters went through for 1.
So Karan, under the tutelage of Roddy Eswick, who was once part of the West Indies outfit, but helping this Nepal team, especially with their bowling. Karan. This time to Dylan Douglas. Gets one outside the off stump. That's wide signal indeed. 1 more to the total is 114 for 5.
Well, Douglas was winding up there looking for that big drive. It was wide, and he just watched it go by and signaled by umpire Bayam wide. 114 for 5. So Karan would have to reload and come again.
I was just talking about Roddy Eswick, who certainly made a tremendous contribution to the West Indies team. The likes of Corey Collingwood and company certainly was, under his tutelage. But now lending assistance to the Asian team. And this one is hit over long off, and that's 4 runs. For a moment I thought it cleared the fence, it didn't, but 4 well taken runs.
Well, four good runs. It was pitched up and Douglas launched into it and hammered it one bounce over a widest mid-off and into the fence for 4. So 118. Douglas, he goes on to 40. And I think there's a little drizzle around the ground.
I'm not seeing
But
it.
play will continue.
Yes, well, we see the ground men now making their way to the area of the covers. As a matter of fact, the covers
The umpires have called the covers.
are coming on.
So there's a break in the innings at for 13.4 overs, 118 for 5.
$118 for the loss of 5.
So Douglas really leading the charge for Windward Islands. He's on 40, not out. As company with Descarte, who is on 10. So there's some rain with us. Not a downpour, but certainly enough to stop play here at the Park Hill playing field. And we can see the ground staff busy ensuring that the square is covered. As
I'm a little bit concerned because there's still a bit of it on the edges that is a little bit exposed, as a matter of fact, at the run-up. And
I think we have seen from the ground staff very quickly in with the covers from both ends and ensuring that bowling area is covered. And one does not anticipate a very long downpour. It's drizzling rather heavy, but not the sort of rain that we expect to see the outfield being drenched.
Well, certainly, and I really hope that it's not extended. I'm still concerned with that little area that is a little bit exposed at the southern end, and now we see they're going to try and bring the covers over. That's what I'm talking about, right? So we now have a...
So we are being held up momentarily, and I'm certain that it won't be for long. I'm not anticipating this for any length of time, Eddie.
All right, so after
13.4 overs,
118 for the loss of 5. The Windward Island Volcanoes batting first in this T20 practice game here today at the Park Hill playing field, and still very much in the middle. We have the reserve umpire having a look at the ground staff as they...
It's Chelson Stowe from Beckwith. The Grenadine Island of Beckwith. And game being carried by umpire Byam and Butler. So the ground staff still tidying up.
Still very much the position here. But the Volcanoes, again, one area that they certainly need to work on is that patience at the crease. Yes, for T20, you look to try and keep that pressure on, so to speak, on the bowling team. But there have been some atrocious shots.
Yeah, so I'm totally in agreement with you, Eddie. Some of the shot selection really leaves a lot to be desired. And for example, Ned just ran down the track, had a wild swing. So again, you have to be patient. There comes a time when you will get a good delivery, and there's nothing wrong with giving it some respect, or you try to play with soft hands, try to get it into the gap, look for ones, look for twos. And if you keep turning the strike over like that, no bowler like to be scored off all the time. He's going to try something, and so the chances of getting a bad delivery would increase, and then you get it. Here we are seeing a replay, and that's where Melios, where Kamal Airy got a very good delivery, coming back into the right-hander, right through bat and pad, knocking the middle stump back.
Yeah, that was a beauty of a delivery. That was the delivery of the game thus
And
far.
you see him wide on the crease there, getting it to come right back into Melius, who just pushed the foot down the track. No movement of the feet. And it's an observation with the contemporary batters. Initially, long ago, you find batters with the first movement would be back and across. Now, for contemporary players, that back foot does not move. They push with the front foot. And I think so many times it opens up that gap between bat and pad. And we see bowlers really going through that gap. It's something that they would have to work on, not to show what the coaches would have done and what they were saying to him. Look at their foot, just coming down the track there, their back foot, as you right, just anchored. And it went right through the gap. So, it's still with the drizzle. And there was Hodge picking a practice out of the ground. Salazano there edging to the keeper. Had to make his way back to the pavilion. There was Douglas just dispatching that over mid-wicket.
All right, we're just having a replay of some of the
Early actions.
early action, certainly. Dylan Douglas, who's still at the crease for the Wooden Island Volcanoes. And one of those towering sixes over long on. Went into that area about 3 times thus far in his innings. So the downpour continues, Charlo, and what we'll do is certainly just to give our viewers some of the highlights of what has taken place thus far. Welcome back, and we're about to have the resumption of this game here this afternoon at the Park Hill playing field. We had an interruption due to rain. Joel, I don't know if you have any information as to if there's going to be any reduction in the overs?
Absolutely none so far.
So the Volcanoes, they will continue. They are 118 for the loss of 5. And the Nepal team, they're back in the middle.
Well, from all information, Eddie, there are no reduction in the over, so we'll have the regular 20 overs.
Rand will continue hit over.
$118 for 5.
Here comes Karan now, goes to Douglas. Douglas, well, this one peeled off the top edge of the bats, and that's 6 runs.
Well, he was shaping to go up, and Karan was short, and he got underneath it, got a top edge. I think the intention was there. Didn't cue it well, but he got the result that he wanted, and that went sailing.
124 for 5. So the Winter Island Volcanoes immediately off to a good start following the resumption.
So 124. First delivery after the resumption went for 6.
This one is nudged into that short third man position.
And he was disappointed in himself.
Yes.
Should have done better. That was steered right to the man at backward point.
So it's 124 for 5 after the 15th over. We have 30 more balls to go in this, the Winter Islands innings. And there we see both batters in the middle, Dylan Douglas and Chadwick Descarte, having a mid-pitch compensation. And they're saying, well, maybe it's time for us to have a go.
Time to push things on. So Douglas is on 47, Descarte, he's on 12. 6 overs remaining. And these two would really want to push things further on for Windward Island Volcanoes. It's going to be Bertel to continue. So far, he has done a pretty good job.
Without a doubt, he's had 2 very good overs thus far. And it seems as if the rain we had absolutely no impact on the outfield. It's more or less soaked up because we've had very, very dry conditions over the last 5 weeks here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. To this delivery, Descarte punches down the lawn, one bounce into the fence, into the road behind us. That's 4 runs.
That was hit with some power, and it flew past the man at long on, and across the ropes it went for 4. So he goes on to 16, 128. You would need to see a few more of that.
Well, these two are showing their early intent as we have a resumption of this game, interrupted for some 20 minutes thereabouts due to rain. And since the resumption, there is an uptick in the scoring rate. Bertel, and ball a little wet in hand. It might be the need for the towel at some point in time to try and keep that ball as dry as possible. This certainly can be a problem, especially for the spinners.
Yeah, particularly leg spinner. That's what Bertel, a leg spinner, is a bit difficult for him.
Comes into Descarte. Descarte hits this one high, and there was long on trying to get there, but doing so no vain. 6 more runs.
Well, it's Karan on the boundary. He's a diminutive individual, not the tallest of the lot. And he was jumping for all his worth, but that cleared him. And went across over the ropes for 6. So business, these two showing their intent, but there's still that light drizzle around.
So I guess they're trying to, if there's another rain interruption, to put as much as possible on the board. 134 for 5, and this is the 15th. Pressure on Bertel. As he comes in now, the ball to Descarte. And Descarte hits this one high, way over just the roof here, the pavilion, the main pavilion.
I think that there is some adjacent lands cultivated on the other side, and that landed somewhere in that area. And really a good clean strike there by Descartes, who is showing his intent. And we mentioned that he has that ability to hit the ball a long way. And that was a good demonstration of what it means for Descartes. So pressure on Bertil. I think the first 3 deliveries have gone for 16.
So, as I said, the intention of the Woodland Island batters as they came back into the middle is to try and push on and put as many runs as possible on the board should there be another interruption. At this point in time, there is no threat of rain, but we can see some darkish looking clouds by that northeastern area.
Well, we have a faint, some sunshine, not the brightest really.
Bertil again to Descartes outside the off stump, and that signal wide. And umpire Butler.
Bertil being pushed under the pumps, he decided I'm going to pitch it a bit wider. I'm not going too close to Descartes at all.
As we say here locally,
I think he went too wide.
Yes, looking to hide the ball. Here comes Bertil against Descartes, and outside the off stump, punched into the onside, down to that deep backward point position. And one more resulting. It's now 142 for the loss of 5. 142 for 5.
And we're in over number 15.
So Dylan Douglas is on 47. And he will pretty much want to get over that 50 mark and press on here for the Woodland Islands Volcanoes.
Had a 50 in the first game. And so he has had a good series, if you can say that.
Bertil, it is. The delivery that punches into the offside. Karan comes in, and one more to Dylan Douglas, one more to the Woodland Island Volcanoes, now 143 for the loss of 5. As Bertil will go now, this is final delivery in over number 15. Opening batter for Nepal. He's had some good knocks in the series thus far. This time to Descartes, and outside the off stump, and he had to really and truly feel a long way for that one.
He chased it. Didn't get the placement that he wanted. In the end, just tugged it to the extra cover fielder. So over number 15 comes to an end. 143 for 5. And Douglas is on 48. Shadrach Descartes, he's on 29. And 5 legitimate overs remaining in the Windward Island Volcano innings. Any predictions in terms of what sort of total you think they can muster at this time?
Well, at 10 runs per over, they're going to get over the 190 mark, and that's a total I believe Captain Millis will certainly like to see his team achieve here this afternoon. They did 196 in the first game and had Nepal under immense pressure, and then of course remember Irie and Sompal just simply took it away.
Definitely. And the second game total up to 170 odd, 179. They got 180.
And the Windward Island Volcanoes, after a good start, just felt like dominoes.
So Sompal comes back into the attack.
Sompal, of course, along with Irie, who's not in this game, had a good knock, and this one is pushed up to that mid-wicket position, and a bit of a misfeeling there.
Well, that's what pressure does. Again, the misfield. Dylan Douglas, he was running, he was looking for the second. That's his 50. And he forced the fielder. He looked up, took his eyes off the ball, bobbled it, and Douglas was back easily for the second run.
Well, Douglas, he scored an even 50 in the first innings, in the first game, I should say, and then he lost his wickets. Let's do hope that such is not the case. He's exactly in 50 once again, and with some 29 balls remaining, you really want to press on here for the Wooden Islands. Delivery that he was looking to scoop, and got just about emergency. He's looking at it. He ran a single there, or maybe just a little lucky there, Dylan Douglas. So 145 for the loss of 5 with an Island Volcanoes. Douglas is on to 51. And Descartes, he's not out on a 29, 146 for 5. As a Sompal
So Douglas 50 coming in 28 balls, some 3 4s and 4 6s.
Pretty good strike rates. Very good strike rate there on the part of Douglas. Faces up now to Sampal outside the off stump and just works it into the offside. Picked up there by Asif, who's known more for his wicket keeping on the outfield today, based on the fact that there was an injury to Irie. And Adil being given the glove today, one of 2 wicket keepers in this Nepal squad as they prepare for the T20 World Cup 2024. So there's Asif getting a bit of a experience as far as the outfield is concerned, Charlo.
I'm sure he's enjoying it.
He's on that deep long offense as here comes Sampal to pull to Dylan Douglas. And Douglas pulls nicely, 1 bounce into that final boundary, 4 runs.
Douglas got into position very, very quickly indeed. And he really played it well. Away from just every fielder, there was a man on the long boundary. And he just swiveled and dunked to wide fine leg and into the fence for 4. So the 150 comes up after 15.4 overs, 151, and Douglas goes on to 55.
You really want to push on here, and with good support coming from Shadrach Descartes, who's not done 30. The Volcanoes in this 16th over, well set, of course, to get close to that 190 mark. As here comes Sampal to bowl to Dylan Douglas, and this one he works into that short third man position. Picked up there, 1 more run in the process. 153 for the loss of 5.
I think Sampal a bit disappointed. He was looking for the Yorker, but it was outside the awesome, and Douglas came down, opened the face of the bat, ran it down to backward point, and he went through first England. You can see the disappointment in Sampal as clapping his hands as if saying, that's not what I wanted.
152, correction to score. Dylan Douglas now out of 56. Descartes now will face up to the final delivery of this, the 16th over, as Sampal moves past umpire Bayam. And a delivery that he hits straight back over the head of the bowler. Fine shot, couple bounces.
Sweetly played, bisecting the long off and long on. You don't have fielders in that direction. And it was deliberately hit over the head of the bowler and into the fence it went for 4. So 60 on the car at the under 4 for number 16. Some 24 deliveries to go. And Descartes, he goes on to 34. Douglas 56. Sure they will be having their eyes on 200.
Well, at 160 for 5 after 16, exactly 10 runs per over. With another 4 overs to go, if they can maintain that 10 runs per over, it's 200 on the board.
I'm sure they would have their eyes on that. So let's see. And it's Airy who comes back into the attack. He has had some early success. So he has 2 scalps. And now he's coming back in the 17th over. So Padel ringing the changes. And it's going to be Douglas who is on strike under cool conditions. And Douglas is quite ready, but I don't think yeah.
Douglas pulls over the wickets and he might very be caught second. And a bit of disappointment there for Dylan Douglas, gone for 56. And of course a very important wicket there for Nepal.
A very important wicket, but an observation here, Eddie, is that for every over that Airy comes in, he picks up a wicket.
On the first ball.
I think the very first over, I think he picked up a wicket in his second delivery. The second spell, he got it in the first ball, and here it is for the third over, he got it in the first ball again. So he has made that early impact for Nepal, and Douglas very disappointed as he really dragged himself off the field. But he goes for a well played 56, 156 for 6, and we could see Javadine Brong making his way out to do battle. He's one of the many Brongs playing locally, and he can hit the ball a long way. Pretty strong lad. from the Ovia area, north of the country. And he joins Shadrach Descarte, who is on 30. So Brong, immediately he would be on strike.
Brown faces up and gets one right up, but he does well. Punches into the onside. Long on comes off the fence. He's off the mark. It's 157 for 6.
Well, 157 for 6. And Descarte comes back into strike. He has been there for quite some time. So he would have to lead the charge here for Windward Island Volcanoes.
And certainly has shown without a doubt that he has that ability, Shadrach Descarte. To face now to Irie, who's taken up, what, 3 wickets?
3 wickets so far.
And Irie, almost a 30-meter run, comes in now to bowl to Shadrach and worked nicely into that square leg position. Asif comes off the backward square leg fence, and he should have been the one receiving in the glove, but tosses it back into the gloves of Van Heel.
Well, you can see he's enjoying his field, the outfield for a change. And so the left and right hand combination, and you can see the fielders changing over, so too the umpire. Javadine Brong comes back into strike. 158 for 6. Descarte 35, Brong on 1.
Here is Irie, and Team Brown to this delivery, works it fine, and player in that position picking it up. One more added, 159 now for the loss of 6. And just having a look at the fingers there of Irie, not on screen, sorry, of Asif, who's on the fence there. They're heavily strapped, and maybe it's a situation where he might just well be given an opportunity to rest them.
Well, certainly, and well, I think sometimes it has become a common practice now that players tend to put tape on their fingers more for protection.
And wrapped on the pad, a loud appeal. Nothing there from umpire Butler. The scamper through for a single, and one more to the Windward Islands total in this, the 16th over.
I think he got an inside edge into that because he was looking to whip it on the onside.
160 for 6. So Irie has, after that onslaught from the previous over, he's pulled things back here.
Very nicely as well for Nepal.
So the breeze have picked up a bit here, and this delivery, it's in the air, and Karan is getting under it and takes a very easy catch. That's the 7th wicket gone there, and Dean Brown going for 2, 100.
Well, it was a short delivery, and he was looking to slap that, taking the top of the bat. There it is, short and really about shoulder height, looking to slap it somewhere. Got a top edge. Karan had shot extra cover, had a very comfortable catch, didn't have to do much, and the Windward Island Volcano losing their 7th wicket.
And certainly losing their way. You know, since the resumption, of course, you had Dylan Douglas and Descarte taking the attack to the bowlers, but since then, of course, they've lost Dylan Douglas, and now we see Dean Brown making his way back to the pavilion.
So Airy has picked up 4 wickets.
He's picked up 4 wickets, but very importantly, of course, pegging the Windward Islands back, and from a situation where they were eyeing a possible 200, it might very well be 180, 185, if they can get that far.
Yeah, so Asif Hooper, the left-hander, goes out to join Descarte, who is also a left-hander, and starts changing bowling on the far end. We see Practice comes back into the attack.
So Practice this time to bowl to Descarte, and outside the off stump, and he cracks it square the wicket. Oh well, taking runs there off the bat of Descarte.
I think that's a bread and butter shot for a left-hander. Short, wide, and he hammered it past backward point. That's the strength of a left-hander. And into the fence it went for 4 at 164 now for 7. So, and with that boundary, I think Descarte would move on to at least 40.
164 for 7, and Practice, of course, will continue. But it's actually Gulshan from the northern end.
Skull shot.
So we're having some changes in the field here. Trying to find Captain Podell as to exactly his station. That's quite a lot being done, but here comes Gulshan now. And this delivery is wide outside the off stump. Muscati was thinking about pushing a bat at it, but even if he had done so, I doubt he would have gotten any bat under that
Well,
one.
he was shaping and he just watched it go by because he recognized that it was that wide. An umpire up front by him very early. I was signaling wide. So additionally, he has to reload and come again. 165 now for 7. I see 2 overs remaining after this, so not much chance. Really settle.
The start to this one is such. Driving and missing outside the off stump. And pulls away. A bit of a wry smile. And now, as it's on the background, they're looking to replay that shot. That he possibly should have played in the first instance. Total remains at 165 for the loss of 7. As we hear spectator in the background belling out some instructions to the Scotty. This delivery. It's up in the air and one bounce. Fielder comes around, stopped it in the process, and one more added. But I believe he was just a little lucky there.
Well, he got a top edge and he just lobbed more or less and dropping well short of a backward point, and the sweeper and a white-toed man was able to come around cover grounds and into the and save 3 runs.
So Gulshan will continue after there's a bit of a mopping up of the ball. A turn now. There you see that's a short fine line going right back on the fence. And Gulshan will continue. This time to Asi Cooper. Cooper pulls him nicely and beats the fielder. Odd bounce. 4 more runs. He's off the mark.
In style.
70.
In style.
Certainly.
Short of a length into the hip, and he just pivoted and down to the backward square, to the left of the backward square, who couldn't cut it off, and it went across the ropes for 4. So 170 for 7. I think there's still a delivery or 2 in this over.
Still 2 deliveries to go. So some 14 deliveries left in this inning. So the Winning Island Volcanoes, they're 170 for 7. And should very much still be eyeing that 200-run target. Gulshan. And Hooper is looking to work that again into that backward square leg position, but got it wide down the leg side. Signal there by umpire. Bam, didn't get any bat onto the ball, and 1 more added to the total. 1 more to be bowled by Gulshan. So it's 171 for 7. And Hooper wrapped in the pad. There's a loud appeal from the bowler, but Bam not interested. Batsman in the process picking up a single. That's the end of over number 18.
So
170
leg by
for 7.
signal. I think
Yes.
there's still a legal delivery remaining. Because I think there was a wide. So there's still a delivery remaining in the over.
So I guess our scorer not being as attentive as ought to be, misguided me on the screen, but such is life. Is that one final delivery coming in now to bowl to Descartes, and wide outside the off stump, another wide.
Another wide signal. So he will have to bowl that again. Total now on to 173.
.173 for 7. Gulshan.
Seems as if the pressure is taking its toll on Gulshan.
Well, let's hope he can wrap the over now with this illegal delivery and driven.
And said no ball.
Well, is he going to ever finish this over? And well, there was an opportunity to run out the batter there in Descartes, and the wicketkeeper dropping the ball in the process. It's certainly a comedy of errors out there.
It's total comedy of errors, and I think it was pretty suicidal on the part of Descartes coming back for that second, but the keeper really should have done well. Descartes should have been out by miles, dropping his bat in the process, diving full length